Once upon a time I made this drawing, and ever since I fell in love with art. My girlfriend, who's also an artist, asked me how I was able to stay so motivated in all this time, and that got me thinking. The longest break that I took from art was 1 week, where I spent 85 hours playing Stardew Valley trying to figure out my life. Now 5 years is a pretty long time, which is why I'd like to separate this video into 2 different parts that played a significant role in making the person that I am today. So, why don't we just start from the beginning? As mentioned in the beginning, I made this drawing of Itachi simply because I had the urge to draw for whatever reason. And to this day, it felt like God just decided to take all my future plans and be like, nah, we're going that way. I saw I had some sort of talent and continued to make one anime character after the other. Long story short, 3 years have passed, I grew a massive following on social media and made like 2 or 3 drawings a week. And in all this time, 3 things happened that kind of took this passion that I had for art and ignited it and turned it into this blazing flame that it is today. Number 1, the habit. I believe in the power of habits. They can be just as good as they can be bad. And the habit that I created was kind of a mix of both. Now before I'll go into that, let me emphasize how much habits have influenced my life. When I was younger, I was an athlete. I lived and breathed the air of judo, and the interesting part is that I used to be devastated and beat myself up whenever there was a day where I did not work out unless it was a rest day. And this feeling, this need for exercise, almost felt like a drug, and it continued my entire life. I mean, my dream was to become Olympic champion. Until art came into my life. And slowly but steady in those 3 years, the passion that I had for the sport transferred to art, to the point where I gave up on it and fully focused on drawing. This feeling and need for training vanquished. I didn't exercise for months and I couldn't care less, but oh shit, I dared to skip 2 or 3 days of drawing and it was the same thing all over again. Now unfortunately, this habit that I created correlates to the second point, which is why it was bad in a sense. The reward. To put it quite simple, we humans do something and expect some kind of reward to come out of it. And I won't go into the whole dopamine and stuff, I think it was covered plenty on this platform, but basically my reward was bound to an external force that I couldn't control. My reward, or at least in my eyes, was not getting better at art, but more the engagement that I got from other people for it. And since I was growing rapidly, my reward system went bonkers, therefore I continued to draw more and more anime characters, spiraling down into this hellhole until I realized something. And this brings me to my third and last point of part 1, the therapy. As teenagers, I think we all had our problems that posed quite a challenge, and for me personally, those were quite difficult to resolve. And I remember when everything started out, when it was not about the numbers, I always turned to art to express my sadness. A lot of sadness. Generally speaking, every artwork I made kind of had a piece of myself in it, and that slowly faded the more and more I was trying to capitalize on my creativity. My art was not getting any better, there was hardly any improvement between year 2 and 3, and of course these drawings might look nice and might be good for sale, but what's the point in making money when I no longer enjoy what I'm doing? At this rate, I might just go back to studying and become an engineer. I know the title of the video said how, but to answer that, we have to look at the why, because the why is your engine. Why do I draw so much? Why do you want to draw so much? This is why part 1, my introduction to art, plays such a significant role, because the more you do of something, the more it becomes a part of your life. And regardless whether my habits weren't the best or not, because I was drawing so much, I was able to go from drawing 2 to 3 hours a day to 8 to 10 hours a day and continue to do so up until now. And if I drop all of it and take a break for a longer period of time, it would all fall apart. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where the 1 week Stardew Valley addiction comes into play. I wanted away from it. All of it. Away from doing a bunch of random anime character headshots, away from ruining my mental health over a couple useless views. And I decided, just like in a video game, when you messed up your character, the best way to fix things is a fresh new start. In my last months of drawing on paper, I discovered a lot of artists, and all of them were drawing digitally. I realized how much more accessible digital art was. You're not dependent on any materials, and you can draw whenever you want, whatever you want. So I bought this bad boy and tried to start things all over again. But now comes the problem. I didn't know what to draw, and it discouraged the hell out of me. The main problem with my already built habit was that it revolved around making fan art, around making already existing anime characters, and it almost seemed like a complete automated process. Sketch, trace to new paper, do the hair, do the face, and lastly the clothes in the same style again and again and again. So I had to break this habit and decided not to think too much about anything and just try out digital art. And so after 2 weeks of trying and trying, I finally came up with this abomination. I realized change had to happen, and the first thing I did was remove social media for like a good 4 months. I rebuilt my reward system around getting better at art, and I can tell you, looking back at your art after 1 year of drawing and seeing how much you've grown, it's just the best feeling ever. The next thing I had to settle down for was the style, and since realism is the base for all stylized art, I decided to learn anatomy, learn values, and most importantly out of all, color. In my 3 years of doing anime characters, not a single time have I worked with color, and I think it shows in my first couple of artworks. Now if you're suffering from Artblock, which I suffered a lot in the first months of creating art, regardless of whether I was able to create a drawing or not, because Artblock is more than just not being able to draw. It's like your mind is foggy and you're not able to have any clear thoughts anymore. I tried to come up with drawings that would convey my current state of mind. And so since I already had a base for the atmosphere, the energy, all that was left was to find a reference on Pinterest that would capture all of this. Fast forward to now, I remade a fan art of Lady Maria exactly after 1 year, and those are the results. The improvement is just through the roof, contrary to how it was when I was still doing traditional art. And knowing that this was just 1 year when many professional artists have like 10 or 20 under their belt, is like a glimpse of hope. So to conclude all of this, if you're someone that struggles to get back into art, try to build the habit of drawing first. To do that, decide what you want to stick with, what you want to learn, and what you enjoy the most. Experiment a little and remember you do not have to draw 10 hours a day, make a painting every day, or in fact draw every single day. Unless this is what you want to do, because just like in sports, it's not necessary to train 7 days a week, 365 days a year to build a habit. Jimmy, what the f***?
Listen, you know you always tell me we have to get better at art?
Of course, what's your point?
I found this guy and he was like giving tips on how to get better. And one of them was like quantity over quality.
Say what?
And you know, so many people commented how it's just true. And I think they're right, because if you draw every single day, instead of just thinking
Shut the up. Jimmy, there's one thing I taught your dumb ass. It's to not just people on the internet. I don't give a f***.
Remember that one time you clicked on a link, it said, "You are in the video"?
Man, not in front of the camera, please.
You clicked on the video, typed in your login information, and it turned out to be a scam.
I was 13 years old.
Jimmy, the kid that sent you the video was probably the same age.
What's your point?
Jimmy, you listen to me now, because somehow people these days cannot use their brain. If you do the same shit 100 times, again and again and again, it don't matter even if you do 1,000 drawings, it will still stay the same shit.
But you could learn something new every time you make a new drawing.
No shit, Sherlock, but please elaborate. What the hell is quality then?
Making beautiful art.
And how do you make beautiful art?
By learning. Don't scream at me.
Jimmy, you son of a... Look at us. We spent 3 years looking into the air. We made like 3,000 drawings and it didn't get any better.
Okay, man, I got it.
Imagine you're a mother.
Mm-hmm.
With 14 kids.
Okay.
And 1 leg.
Seriously?
How do you find the time to doodle a bunch of abominations?
Okay.
You take 10 minutes. If that's all you got, let yourself go. Learn a little. If you still drew that day, it is a success. And just like with us, someday those 10 minutes can be turned into 3 hours. 3 hours of quality.
Yeah, sure.
Now, Jimmy, please do me a favor and get the out. What? Man, why are people so stupid these days?
So, to quickly come back to that point, it all comes down to what you want to do in life. If you want to doodle all day, it can be great in its own way. But if somebody tells you have to draw a lot to get better at art, just turn off your phone.
Enough internet for the day.
To quickly clarify the point, yes, you will have to draw a lot, generally speaking, but drawing a lot per se is not what makes you a better artist. Instead, it's all the active or deliberate practice that you put in, which honestly doesn't really have to be that much. But of course, if you do something more often, chances are you might figure out a thing or two. But why spend 100 hours figuring it out by yourself when you can watch a 10-minute YouTube video and apply all that information into practice? What I want to say with this is that maybe you have a full-time job, a family, a dog, 2 dogs, or a cat. I'm a cat person, I like cats. And maybe you don't have the time to draw every single day for 300 hours. But if you put in quality time, a routine, you can still make art a habit. And later on, when you have more time, naturally you will simply expand on that habit or on that practice. Another thing that I wanted to add, that is probably the most important part in this video, unfortunately I forgot it, is to take breaks. Just like with everything in life, too much of something in most cases can get on your nerves once in a while. So the way I handle things right now is while I'm editing my YouTube videos, which takes around 2 to 3 days if I'm slow, I actually see this as a break from art. And the thing that happens is it's kind of like you're thirsty for water and you need to draw right now because you deprived yourself of it purposefully. I actually learned this from my coach back then in judo. To stay hungry, to keep that urge to fight alive and actually enhance it, you step away from the sport for a little bit. And when you say to step away from it, I don't mean you just stop training, you forget about it, you stop thinking about it, and you just take a complete break mentally and physically. And that break can range anywhere between 1 to 3 days or however long you need. Just make sure that it's not a long period of time where that habit that you build breaks. With that being said, everything you hear, including this video, take it with a grain of salt. Your life is for you to figure out. But yeah, nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Truly, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Wow!